You know, there's always something about driving at night that gets into your head, especially when you're out on the open road, far from anywhere. I've been a trucker for longer than I care to admit, driving all kinds of rigs and all kinds of routes. But that night, something changed. I'm not one for superstitions, but let me tell you, there was something wrong with that road. It was late, around 2 a.m., somewhere along Route 66. The roads were quiet, just the hum of the engine and the sound of my tires eating up the miles. I had a full load of freight heading east. Nothing unusual. Just the kind of long haul I'd done 1,000 times before. The night was still. The kind of still where you can hear your own thoughts echoing through the cabin, where every creak and groan from the truck sounds like something more sinister. And that's when I saw him. It was a strange stretch of road. Long, straight, no sign of civilization for miles. I had been cruising along, lost in the rhythm of the drive, when I spotted the figure by the side of the road, just standing there, waving a thumb at me. Now, in my years on the road, I'd picked up a few hitchhikers. I wasn't one to pass them by, especially if they looked like they needed help. But there was something different about this guy. The way he stood, tall, unnaturally still, like he wasn't bothered by the wind whipping through the desert night. Slowed the truck down, the tires rumbling as I pulled over. It wasn't exactly common sense to pick up a hitchhiker at this hour, but something about him made me stop. Maybe it was that look in his eyes, sharp, knowing. Maybe it was the fact that he didn't even flinch when I pulled up to him, as if he was expecting me. I rolled down the window and gave him a nod. "Where you headed?" I asked, already knowing it was a foolish question, but hell, you never know. "Just a few miles down the road," he said, his voice smooth like velvet. Too smooth, almost too perfect. I hesitated. Something about the way he said it struck me as odd, but against my better judgment I opened the door. He climbed in without a word, and I didn't think much of it until I got a better look at him. Tall, sharp features, dressed in a perfectly tailored black coat despite the desert heat. His eyes were dark, dark like nothing I'd ever seen before, no warmth in them, just emptiness. "You heading east?" he asked almost casually, as if he already knew the answer. I nodded, still trying to shake off the weird vibe he was giving off. "Yeah, I've got a long run ahead of me. Salt Lake City." He smiled. No, not just a smile, a grin. And it wasn't the kind of grin you'd expect from a normal guy. It was almost knowing, like he knew something I didn't. "I'm sure you'll get there soon enough," he said, settling back in the seat like he was already at home. I didn't like the sound of that, but I shrugged it off. Maybe I was just overtired. I focused back on the road, trying to ignore the strange feeling creeping up my spine, but as we drove further into the night, things got weirder. The truck's radio, which had been playing nothing but static for the last hour, suddenly crackled to life. The voice on the other end was distorted, unrecognizable. "Turn back," it said, just one word, followed by the crackling static again. I glanced at the hitchhiker, but he didn't seem fazed. He was staring out the window, watching the night pass by with a strange intensity. "Don't worry about it," he said, his voice almost too smooth to be real. "It's just the road talking." I frowned. The road talking? Now I knew I was imagining things, but as I drove I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The air felt heavier, like I was breathing in something I wasn't supposed to. The lights from the truck's dashboard flickered, and the shadows inside the cab seemed to stretch a little longer than they should have. And the farther we went, the more everything around us felt wrong. I glanced over at the hitchhiker again. This time I noticed something. His eyes weren't just dark, they were empty, black, like voids, like there was nothing inside them. "You okay?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He turned his head slowly, his eyes locking with mine. And that grin, oh God, that grin widened. It wasn't just a smile anymore. It was something predatory, something hungry. "You'll be fine," he said. "You've got a long road ahead of you." I was about to say something back, but before I could, the road ahead of us seemed to change. The asphalt twisted, stretched, and the straight path I'd been driving on seemed to bend. I could feel my truck swaying as if the road beneath us was moving, undulating like it was alive. "What the hell?" I muttered, slamming my foot on the brake. But it wasn't enough. The road kept twisting, bending, warping as if it were alive, pulling us further into the night. The hitchhiker didn't seem surprised. In fact, he looked amused. "You really didn't think you'd get away that easy, did you?" he said, his voice low, almost like a whisper. "I'm just here to show you the way." Before I could respond, a sudden flash of light pierced the air, blinding me for a second. When my vision cleared, we were no longer on the road I'd known. It was darker, much darker, and the truck was no longer on solid ground. We were floating, hovering above a chasm of swirling red and black like some kind of bottomless pit. I could hear a low, distant growl, something deep, primal. My heart began to race, and that's when I knew. I hadn't picked up a hitchhiker. I'd picked up something much worse. The trucker's worst nightmare, the devil. The truck shuddered again, and the growl beneath us grew louder. I slammed my foot down harder on the brake, but the pedal felt like it was made of stone, unresponsive, locked in place. The wheel jerked in my hands, twisting in ways it shouldn't, as if it had a mind of its own. I could feel my pulse in my throat, my stomach twisting into knots. I looked at the hitchhiker, the man, or whatever he was, sitting calmly beside me, a grin spreading wider across his face. His eyes never left mine, glowing with that dark, empty abyss I couldn't look away from. "You're not real," I muttered, but even as the words left my mouth, I knew they weren't true. He was real, and I had just driven myself straight into something I couldn't begin to understand. The world outside the cab was gone. I don't mean the highway or the road or even the stars. I mean everything, just darkness, like the sky itself had been swallowed up by some deep, cosmic blackness. The only thing that existed now was the chasm beneath us, stretching out endlessly in all directions, a void that felt alive, pulsing like it had a heartbeat. Real. The hitchhiker chuckled, his voice dark and deep, like the rumble of thunder. "That's a funny word to use. Nothing's real here, not anymore." My hands were shaking on the wheel, and the truck's engine sounded like it was about to stall. I could barely hear it over the growing roar of wind and an eerie, distant scream, like something was calling out from the abyss below. I wanted to scream, to jump out of the cab and run, but my legs felt like lead. It was as if something was holding me in place, keeping me trapped in the truck, in this nightmare. "Why me?" I finally asked, my voice barely a whisper, as though speaking louder would make the situation worse. "You didn't think I was just any ordinary hitchhiker, did you?" He leaned in closer, his cold breath hitting my cheek. "You've been chosen. You've driven on this road countless times before, but tonight, it leads somewhere special." I swallowed hard, my mouth dry. I knew the road was twisted, in ways that didn't make sense, but to hell, I didn't even want to entertain the thought. The truck lurched again, and suddenly the ground beneath us dropped, plunged so deep I felt my stomach rise into my throat. The truck fell like a plane plummeting from the sky, but instead of crashing, it landed gently, the tires screeching against the asphalt, as though we were still driving normally, like we hadn't just fallen miles into the dark. I slammed the wheel to the right, trying to get control. Nothing. There was no way out. The truck was moving by itself now. It was as if I were just a passenger, nothing more. "Where are we going?" My voice cracked, almost begging. "To hell," he said, as if it were the most casual thing in the world. He reached for the glove compartment and pulled out a small, sealed package wrapped in aged, cracked brown paper. It had no label, no markings. He held it out to me, still smiling. "This is your delivery. You've been chosen to bring it to its rightful place." I stared at it, my mind racing, my heart pounding in my chest. Deliver it. "I'm not delivering anything to hell." "Ferdy," I shouted, adrenaline pumping through me. He only laughed. It wasn't a friendly laugh, though. It was the laugh of someone who knew something you didn't, and they were enjoying watching you squirm. "Too late," he said, casually tossing the package onto the passenger seat beside me. "It's already on its way. The road doesn't turn back once you're on it." The truck roared to life again, and the road beneath us twisted in impossible ways. The pavement seemed to breathe, shifting like the surface of water, rising and falling. I couldn't make sense of it, couldn't wrap my head around the way the road was shifting beneath the tires. I slammed my foot on the brake again. Nothing. I pulled the wheel left and right. Nothing. The truck was alive, pulling me down a path I didn't want to be on, and I couldn't stop it. "You'll understand soon enough," he said, leaning back again, his voice low. "This road leads to places most people don't get to see, but you're special." "Special?" I snapped, my hands tight around the wheel, my knuckles white. "You're saying I'm special for being stuck in the middle of this nightmare? The hitchhiker? No, the devil," I realized, grinned wider. "Oh, you'll see, all roads lead to the same destination after all, but some people just take longer to get there." The truck lurched again, and the world around us seemed to distort, stretching and twisting like the very fabric of reality was being torn apart. I looked out the window and saw something. Not just darkness, but something that didn't belong. Shapes, moving shapes, twisted, monstrous figures. They appeared for a split second before vanishing like shadows chasing the truck. "Are you going to help me or just watch me drive off the edge of the world?" I yelled at him, panic rising in my chest, but the devil didn't answer. He simply reached over and picked up the small package, inspecting it with that same unsettling calm. "You're the one who has to deliver it," he said, his voice like a whisper in the dark. And that's when I saw it. The package. It was pulsing. Moving, like something alive inside it. "Well, what's in there?" I asked, my voice trembling. The devil's eyes glittered with something dark, something that sent a chill down my spine. The end and the beginning. Suddenly, everything stopped. The road, the truck, the darkness. Everything went still. Looked out the windshield, and what I saw made my blood run cold. In front of me stood a massive gate, tall, towering, made of blackened iron. It looked ancient, like something from a time long past. And beyond it, nothing but fire and smoke, swirling like a storm of the damned. The truck rolled to a stop, the engine humming quietly, as if waiting for permission to move forward. And in the distance, I could hear it. The screams. A cold shiver ran down my spine, and I realized the truth. I wasn't just on the road anymore, I was at the gates of hell. I could hear it now. The low, mournful wail of something distant, something that had long been lost to time. It echoed through the heavy air like the sound of 1,000 souls trapped in torment. The truck idled in front of the massive iron gates, its engine purring like some kind of strange mechanical beast. I couldn't tear my eyes away from them. The gates weren't just tall, they were enormous, towering like an ancient fortress. Each iron bar twisted and bent, forming grotesque shapes, skulls, serpents, eyes, all entangled in some sickening dance of death. And the more I looked at them, the more I realized there was no way I could go back. The road I had come down didn't lead anywhere but here. This was the end. "You don't have to worry," the hitchhiker said, his voice as smooth as it had been since he climbed into the truck. He didn't even look out the window. His eyes were still locked on me, glowing like molten coal. "You were always meant to get here. It's where you belong." The words hit me like a punch in the gut, but I couldn't argue. There was no escaping it, no denying it anymore. Everything about this was wrong. The world outside the cab didn't feel like the world I knew. Hell, it didn't even feel like reality anymore. I glanced over at the passenger seat. The package, the one I was supposed to deliver, sat there resting in the dark corner of the truck, pulsating like it had a heartbeat of its own. I felt drawn to it, like I was supposed to open it, like whatever was inside could explain why I was here, but I knew better. Whatever was inside, it wasn't meant for my eyes. I had a horrible feeling that opening it would be the last thing I'd ever do. The hitchhiker, no, the devil, opened the door without a sound. He didn't even bother to step out first. Instead, he simply slipped out, his form dissipating for a split second like he was vanishing into thin air. When he reappeared, standing outside the truck, his grin was wider than before. "Time to go," he said. His voice was different now, deeper, darker. I wasn't sure if I could move. It was like my body was frozen, held in place by some invisible force. But I had to do something, I had to act. I reached for the door handle, my fingers trembling. Before I could open it, the air around me thickened. The truck's interior was getting hotter, the stifling air pressing down on me like a weight. My vision blurred. I could see shadows creeping in, moving in the corners of the truck, just out of my peripheral vision. "Don't bother," the devil said, his voice rising above the growing cacophony of whispers. "You can't escape, not anymore." I looked out the window and saw it, the shadows, the things, the creatures. They were moving closer, coiling like smoke, twisting toward the truck. Their eyes glowed red, like burning embers. I felt their gaze on me, 1,000 invisible hands reaching out to drag me into the dark. But I didn't need to look outside to know the truth. The air was thick with it, the palpable presence of something ancient, something hungry. I was standing at the gates of hell and I could hear it calling me. Suddenly, the truck's engine roared to life again, the sound deafening in the stillness. The devil gave me one last look, a knowing glance that sent chills down my spine. His grin never faltered. "Get out," he said, his tone commanding, dark. "It's time." The devil's words lingered in the thick air like poison, sinking deep into my bones. "You're here to deliver." The words echoed through my mind, relentless, each one an ice-cold dagger twisting deeper. My body was frozen, my heart pounding, against my chest like a drum. My hands, gripping the package, trembled, but I couldn't look away. I couldn't escape it. The stench was overpowering now, a sickening blend of charred flesh and something far worse, something that reeked of rot and decay, of ancient, forgotten things. The ground beneath me shifted again, this time like it was breathing, an awful rhythmic rise and fall that made my stomach turn. I could feel it moving around my boots, like the earth itself was alive, hungry. The devil stood just ahead of me, his eyes gleaming, full of malice and dark pleasure, as though he was savoring every second of this. His grin stretched wider, more sinister than I thought a smile could ever be. I wanted to scream, to run, but there was no way out. The gates of hell were behind me now, their colossal size closing in, their iron teeth glaring down at me, the sound of the doors creaking. Slamming shut echoed through the air, sealing my fate. I looked at the package again. It was still pulsating, its movement subtle but unmistakable. Something was inside. Something alive. I could feel it, could almost hear it whispering, a faint murmur like an animal in pain. I felt the pressure building in my chest, my throat. Sanheit, as though the air was growing thinner. But the devil wasn't waiting. He was already moving forward, his dark presence commanding the very atmosphere. His voice rang out again, slicing through the suffocating silence. "You know what's inside," he said, his voice like velvet and venom. "Don't pretend you don't. You're the one who brought it here, after all." I shook my head, trying to clear the fog that was clouding my thoughts. I had no idea what he was talking about. All I knew was that the world around me had twisted into something unrecognizable, something that should not exist. But the devil was right about one thing. I was the one who brought it here. That package, that cursed thing. The one I'd been tasked with delivering. I felt a cold sweat break out across my forehead, my hands slick against the box. Something, no, someone, was waiting for it, waiting for me to open it. "I don't want this," I muttered, my voice cracking. I didn't sign up for this. But the devil's laugh was like thunder, booming and dark, and the ground trembled underfoot. "You didn't have to sign up. You were always meant for this. Everything has led you here, whether you knew it or not." I could feel the world around me shift again, the ground beneath me now trembling as though some great force was about to rise from the depths. The sky, already swirling with blood-red clouds, grew darker still, and the heat of the place was stifling. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't think. I could only feel the weight of the package in my hands, its pulse growing stronger. I looked up at the devil again. His eyes were blazing, the infernal fire in them reflecting the hellscape around us. His grin never faltered. But something in his expression shifted. It wasn't just satisfaction now, it was something darker, something hungry. "You can't run from this, trucker," he sneered. "It's already inside you, Open the package and it'll be over. You'll deliver it to where it belongs, and after that—" He trailed off, but I didn't need him to finish the sentence. I knew what came next. The end. The thing I had been carrying all this way, all these miles, was never meant for anyone but me. It was meant for this place. This hellish pit where nothing and no one ever escaped. I took a step forward, my body trembling, and then another. The package felt heavier with each movement, as though it were dragging me down, pulling me toward the inevitable. The closer I got to the pit, the more the air crackled with energy. There was a pull, like a magnet, a force stronger than anything I could resist. The devil didn't move, just stood there watching, waiting. But I could see it, in his eyes. He wanted this. He wanted me to open the damn thing. I didn't want to. I didn't care what happened, but what choice did I have? I reached down, hands shaking violently, and placed the package on the ground at my feet. Everything went still. For a long moment there was nothing. The noise, the screaming, the crackling, the heat paused. It was like the world itself had held its breath. The devil didn't speak. The shadows that slithered at the edges of my vision didn't move. I stared at the package, the small black box with its sinister weight. It wasn't just alive, it was waiting. Whatever it contained, it was hungry. And it wasn't just waiting for me to open it. It was waiting for me to accept what came next. I swallowed hard, bracing myself. This was it. I kneeled, and with trembling hands I touched the edges of the box. The metal was cold, colder than anything I'd ever felt before. And then, with the tiniest twist of my wrist, the package popped open. What I saw inside made my blood run cold. There, in the center of the box, was a dark shape. A figure. A thing. It was alive. But it wasn't human. It wasn't anything I recognized. It was an eye, a single, massive eye that stared up at me from the darkness of the box. Its pupil was blacker than the night, and the iris was swirling, with images, terrible, indescribable images that flickered and changed like fire in a storm. It blinked, and the sound that came from it was like the low hiss of a serpent, followed by a growl, deep and rumbling, something from the depths of hell. And then I felt it. A sharp, searing pain in my chest, my heart, as though it were being pulled from my body. The eye wasn't just staring at me. It was reaching into me, into my soul, pulling me toward it, demanding that I give it all I had left. And in that instant I realized I hadn't just opened the package. I had opened the gates. Everything in hell was waiting for me now. The pit loomed before me, growing larger with every step I took. Its presence was suffocating, like it was pulling me toward it with invisible chains. The air felt thick, charged with a dark, infernal energy that seemed to vibrate through my bones. I could feel it, this place, this moment. It was everything I had been running from, everything I had been avoiding. And yet here I was, walking straight into it. The devil, moving ahead of me with deliberate grace, seemed to have all the time in the world. His posture was relaxed, like a man strolling in a park, while I could feel the weight of the world crushing down on my shoulders. The tension in my chest was suffocating. Every step I took felt heavier than the last, as though the very ground was pushing back against me, urging me to stop, to turn around, to find a way out. But there was no way out. Not anymore. The shadows around us stretched long and dark, slithering across the cracked, barren ground. The creatures that populated this hellish landscape began to come into focus, twisted forms of agony and suffering. Some stopped and watched me, their eyes glowing like red coals, their faces contorted in pain and madness. I could hear their whispers, low and guttural, a language I couldn't understand but that gnawed at the edges of my sanity. Each word they muttered echoed in my skull, vibrating through my temples, drowning out everything else. I wanted to scream, to run, to shut it all out, but I couldn't. I was trapped in a nightmare that had no end, no escape, and I was being led straight into its heart. The devil's voice, smooth and cold, cut through the madness. "You're almost there," he whispered, savoring, each word like he was tasting a fine wine. "Just open the package and your journey will be complete." I wanted to argue. I wanted to scream at him, tell him that I wasn't going to do it, that I wasn't going to open whatever horrific thing was inside that box. But the truth was, I knew better. I knew there was no way out, no escape, not anymore. And then I reached the pit. It was beyond anything I had imagined. The chasm in front of me was vast, stretching out beyond the horizon, a yawning maw of darkness and fire. The flames shot up high, licking at the sky, their heat intense enough that I could feel it on my skin even from where I stood. The ground beneath my feet trembled, the earth groaning as though it were alive, and I knew that everything was coming to a head. The end was here. The devil stopped just before the edge of the pit, turning to face me. His eyes were burning, a bright, hellish flame that reflected the inferno surrounding us. His smile had widened, but it was no longer the smile of a man. It was something darker, something predatory. "Now," he said, his voice low and commanding. "Open." I stared at him, my heart pounding in my chest. I felt the weight of the package in my hands, still pulsing, still alive. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to open it. But what choice did I have? I swallowed hard, my hands shaking, and reached down to slowly, carefully unwrap the paper. And then I saw it. The heart. It was beating. The thumping sound reverberated through the air, the rhythm steady but unnatural, like it was coming from the deepest pits of hell itself. The heart was dark, its veins twisted and black, pulsating in a sickening, steady beat. It was alive. I could feel it, could hear it, could almost taste it in the air. The sight of it made my stomach churn, but I couldn't look away. It was as though the heart was calling to me, urging me to do something, to finish it, to deliver it to where it belonged. But what was it? What was I really delivering? Was this the thing that would end it all? The key to unlocking whatever twisted fate awaited me? I wanted to shut my eyes, to look away, but I couldn't. The pit was watching me. The creatures around me were watching me. And the devil standing there, waiting, smiling, he was watching me too. The heart beat louder now, each pulse feeling like it was syncing with my own, like it was becoming part of me, pulling me into it. I could feel it deep inside me, and for a moment I wasn't sure where I ended and the heart began. The devil stepped closer, his eyes never leaving mine. "You've done well," he said, his voice smooth, like a snake's hiss. "Now, let it go. Let it fall." The ground beneath me seemed to rumble in agreement, the air thickening, as if the very fabric of reality was shifting, unraveling. My hands shook harder, and I was sure I was going to drop the heart, but somehow I held onto it. I could hear the devil's voice again, low and dark, like a shadow whispering right in my ear. "It's time to let go. Your fate is sealed." Couldn't breathe, I couldn't think. With a final, trembling breath, I let go. The heart fell, plunging into the pit below, and as it did, the world around me changed. The moment the heart dropped into the pit, the world exploded. I was thrown back by the sheer force of it, as if the very air had turned to a battering ram. My body slammed into the ground, and for a second, I couldn't breathe. The sky above me seemed to shudder, and the ground trembled beneath me, as though hell itself had cracked wide open. I staggered to my feet, feeling like the ground had turned to liquid beneath me. The pit, was no longer a distant thing, a place far below my feet. Now it seemed to rise up to meet me, its heat suffocating, the very air heavy with the scent of sulfur and burning flesh. The walls of hell seemed to close in, pushing me toward the chasm, toward the abyss. I looked around, trying to make sense of it all. The creatures, the damned, were moving now, some of them crawling toward the pit, their eyes wide and hungry. They seemed to be drawn to the heart, like moths to a flame. And the whispers, those whispers in languages that twisted my mind, were growing louder. They were everywhere, inside my head, in my ears, in my very soul. "You've done it," the devil's voice came, cutting through the chaos. He was standing at the edge of the pit, watching me. His smile hadn't faltered, but there was something darker in his gaze now. "You've opened the gate. You've released the heart." The ground beneath me lurched again, and I stumbled forward, barely catching myself. I couldn't focus on the devil's words, not when the world around me was falling apart. I could feel it, the fabric of reality unraveling, like I was watching the entire universe come undone. Time itself seemed to stretch and warp, the moment feeling like it was stretching out for eternity. And then, in the center of the pit, something began to emerge. At first, it was just a shape, a figure, twisted and dark, like it had been pulled from the depths of the earth. But as it rose, I realized what it was, who it was. The heart had opened a door. And now the thing behind that door was stepping through it. I saw his face first, cracked, burned, twisted beyond recognition, but still I knew who he was. His eyes glowed with an infernal light, burning with hatred and fury. His body was massive, a grotesque mix of human and something other. His skin was blackened, like it had been seared in fire. And his smile, it wasn't a smile at all. It was a gaping, monstrous grin, full of jagged teeth that seemed to stretch too far, too wide. This was it. This was what I had brought into the world. The devil turned toward the creature, his grin widening. "Ah, Master, you've arrived. Welcome home." The creature didn't speak. It didn't need to. Its mere presence was enough to send a ripple through the very air, a wave of dread so intense I thought my heart would stop. It was ancient. Ancient in a way that made everything around it feel small. Its very being radiated power, dark power. Power that had been waiting for this moment, waiting for me to make that final, fatal decision. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream and beg for mercy. But there was nowhere to go. The pit had swallowed everything. There was no escape from this place, no exit, no road, no truck. Just me, the devil, and the creature that had risen from the depths of hell itself. The devil glanced back at me, his eyes gleaming with amusement. "You've done your part," he said, his voice dripping with mock sweetness. "Now it's time for you to join the others. Welcome to your eternity." I couldn't move. I couldn't think. The sight of the creature in front of me was enough to paralyze me with terror. It wasn't just its appearance, it was the feeling that came with it, the sense of a vast, infinite emptiness, a void that could swallow you whole and leave nothing behind. A place where time didn't exist, and neither did hope. The creature, no, the master, moved toward the edge of the pit, its long limbs stretching unnaturally, as though the very laws of physics had no power over it. And as it moved, I felt the air grow colder, more oppressive. A chill swept through me, biting at my skin, sinking deep into my bones. The whispers grew louder, more frantic, as though the souls of the damned were screaming in agony. And then it happened. The master raised its hand, and the ground beneath me trembled violently. It was like the very fabric of reality was splitting apart. The creatures around me howled, their voices merging into a cacophony of madness. The devil's laughter echoed in the background, cold and cruel. "Time to claim what is mine," the devil said, turning toward the master. The ground split open in front of me, revealing an abyss even deeper than the pit. It was nothingness, a void that seemed to stretch on forever. And I realized, with a gut-wrenching twist, that the void was pulling me toward it. My body felt weightless, as though I were floating in mid-air, and yet I was being drawn toward the darkness, closer and closer, until I could hear the screams of the souls trapped inside. "No," I cried, my voice weak, desperate. "Please, no." But the devil only grinned, his eyes glowing with a dark, sadistic joy. "There is no escape, my friend. The road you took has led you here. You are mine now." The creature, the master, took a step forward, and the world around me seemed to disappear. The very ground I stood on, the sky above me, the fire in the distance, it all vanished. All that remained was the cold, suffocating darkness, the echoes of those endless whispers, and the chilling, relentless pull of the void. I was falling now, falling into the abyss, and there was no one left to save me. The darkness consumed me. There was no air, no sound, no light. I couldn't tell if I was falling or if I was simply suspended, trapped in an endless, formless void. It felt like time had stopped, or maybe it was just that time didn't matter anymore. I had no concept of how long I'd been falling, or how long I had left to fall. The void around me seemed endless. It wasn't cold, but it wasn't warm either. It was just nothing, all-consuming nothing. It wrapped around me, inside me, until I couldn't tell where I ended and the darkness began. Then came a voice, soft, cruel, and eternal, like a whisper, that had existed for all of eternity and would echo on long after I was gone. "Do you regret it?" the devil's voice asked, his tone so casual it made my skin crawl. "Do you regret making that choice?" I couldn't speak. It was like my body had become mute, frozen in this void that had no substance. And yet, his voice cut through, making my insides twist. "Good," he said with a chuckle. "You shouldn't regret it. After all, this is what you were always meant for." And in that moment, I realized the truth. There had never been a choice for me. There had never been a moment when I wasn't going to end up here. Hell wasn't a destination, it was an inevitability. It was a weight that everyone carried, whether they knew it or not. Every step, every mile I'd driven on those long, empty roads had been leading me to this place. This was my end. And I had been running from it for years. The light came then. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make my eyes burn, like a sliver of brightness breaking through the impenetrable blackness. I squinted, trying to focus, trying to understand what I was seeing. It wasn't much at first, just a glimmer, a flicker. But then it grew brighter, and I realized it was a doorway. Not a normal door, but something more, other. It was a dark portal surrounded by a flickering molten aura, like something from a nightmare. And beyond it I could see shapes, figures, movement. I knew I was supposed to walk through, had to walk through. The devil had set this up. He had orchestrated my entire journey, the package, the road, the decisions I'd made, all leading to this. I was too tired to resist anymore, so tired. The weight of all that had happened, all that I'd seen, pressed down on me. My mind screamed, but my body moved forward on its own, stepping toward the light. As I crossed the threshold of that dark portal, something shifted. The air thickened again, the oppressive weight of the void crushing down on me like 1,000 tons of stone, and then I saw it. The world. Not the world I knew. Not the world of highways and truck stops and miles of open road, but this world, the world of the damned. The land before me was a barren, desolate wasteland. Dark skies loomed overhead, swirling with endless clouds that bled into one another, like ink blurring on paper. The ground was cracked and burned, with jagged rock formations jutting up from the earth like the bones of some long-forgotten beast. The very air shimmered with heat, and the sky above, if you could even call it that, was a sickly shade of green, pulsating like it had a heartbeat of its own. In the distance, I saw the silhouettes of other souls, trapped, wandering aimlessly. Their forms were twisted and writhing, a chorus of tortured souls trapped in an eternal limbo. Some screamed in agony, others whispered to themselves, eyes hollow, minds shattered. I tried to look away, but the sight of it was magnetic. I couldn't escape it. I had crossed the threshold and now there was no turning back. I tried to scream, I wanted to scream, but the sound was trapped in my throat, just like the rest of me. My limbs felt heavy, like they belonged to someone else. And no matter how hard I tried to run, to fight against whatever force was pulling me forward, I couldn't. The devil's laughter echoed in my mind once more. "You're home now," he said, his voice surrounding me, suffocating me. "Welcome to your eternity." It was then that I realized something else, something worse. This wasn't just hell, it was my hell, my personal tailor-made torment. This was the place I would be forever. The landscape, the souls wandering aimlessly, it was all designed to break me, to drag me down until I couldn't remember who I was, until I couldn't remember what hope felt like. This place, this nightmare, would be my new reality. It would slowly eat away at me piece by piece, until I was nothing more than another broken soul, doomed to wander the wastelands for all eternity. I stumbled forward, but the ground seemed to shift beneath me, like the very earth was alive, breathing. I could feel it now, the weight of it all, the inevitability. I wasn't just trapped in hell, I was lost, consumed by it. Every step, every breath, pulling me deeper into the torment, into the endless suffering. And as the devil's mocking voice faded into the background, I realized there was only one thing left for me to do, to walk. Walk through the endless wasteland of my own making, through the shadows of my decisions, the road I'd traveled, the choices I'd made that had led me here. To keep walking, forever, through the desolation of hell, until nothing remained of me but a forgotten whisper, lost to time. And maybe that was the point all along. They say the worst kind of tired is the kind that doesn't hit you all at once. It just creeps up real slow, like fog in the valleys, until you're not sure when you last blinked, last ate, or last felt fully there. That was Roy that night. Just another long-haul Thursday. Diesel humming beneath him, CB radio crackling in and out with static and half-heard conversations about traffic, weather, or someone's busted axle. He'd been on the road for 2 days straight with maybe a couple hours of sleep tucked in between way stations and rest stops. You know how it goes. Big delivery up in Scranton started down in Atlanta. No time to mess around, especially with the schedule his dispatcher had laid out like a death march. The thing about long hauls is, after a while, you stop looking at the road. You're more just in it, like the cab and the highway are part of your body. It was sometime past 1:30 a.m., the kind of hour when your playlist feels like it's repeating songs and your eyelids feel like bricks. That's when Roy first saw it, mile marker 97. Just a plain green sign on the right shoulder, nothing unusual. He passed it doing 70, barely glanced. But something about it, it stuck. Maybe it was how the number was just too bright, like someone had scrubbed it clean with bleach. Maybe it was the way the reflective coating shimmered, like it caught light from something that wasn't there. Roy couldn't say. About 20 minutes later, still cruising north through a stretch of nothing. No exits, no towns, not even a damn fast food billboard. He passes another green sign, mile marker 97. Same exact angle. Same dead weeds growing up around the post. Same roadkill raccoon curled up like a question mark near the shoulder. Roy blinked. Did a double take. Could have been a mistake. Maybe the signs were mislabeled. Maybe he just imagined it. But a minute. After that second sign, his GPS chirped. Continue on I-81 north for unknown distance. That was new. He stared at the screen. The mileage line was blank, not zero, just gone. He tapped the screen. It didn't even flicker. His GPS always showed the next turn, even if it was 200 miles off. But now it just sat there, static, quiet, and dim. He told himself it was just a software glitch. Cheap tablet company probably forgot to update it. He even chuckled to himself, the way you do when you want to pretend you're not on edge. But something about that stretch of road felt wrong in his gut. Too empty, too quiet, like the world had forgotten to load. No taillights ahead, no headlights behind. Just Roy, his rig, and that endless stretch of cracked blacktop. A few more minutes. Roll by and then, there it is again. Mile marker 97, same weeds, same roadkill, same busted guardrail just ahead, right before the dip. Now Roy's not chuckling. Now he's gripping the wheel tighter. He glances at the clock. 57 a.m. checks the odometer. He's driven 30 miles since the first 97. But the landmarks, they say otherwise. He takes a deep breath, reaches for the CB. Breaker 19, anyone got ears on 81 northbound? I think I'm, looping. Nothing, not even static, just dead air. That's when the rig shutters, just once. Like something. Grabbed the trailer hitch. Or like he hit a bump he didn't see, except the road ahead is smooth as glass. The headlights flicker, only for a second. But it's enough to catch his eye in the mirror. Something standing in the ditch. He cranes his neck. Tries to catch it in the passenger side mirror. Nothing. But the hair on the back of his neck, standing straight up. He leans forward, stares. At the GPS one more time. Still blank. Still that eerie message. Continue on I-81 north for unknown distance. Roy mutters under his breath, more to the road than to himself. Yeah, this ain't right. He doesn't stop, doesn't pull over, just keeps driving. But from that moment on, something's with him. He doesn't know it yet, but the loop has already started, and he just passed mile marker 97 again. By the fourth time Roy passed mile marker 97, the road stopped feeling like asphalt. It felt like a treadmill, like he was moving, yeah, but everything around him wasn't, and it wasn't just the marker anymore. There were other things. Subtle. Things. That busted guardrail on the right, still dented in the exact same way, same weeds poking through the cracks, same squashed raccoon, its little paw frozen in the air like it was trying to wave him down. The problem with weird stuff like this is, it always starts quiet, small, easy to write off as stress, or sleep deprivation, or maybe even just the highway. Playing tricks on your brain. That's what Roy told himself, first time, second time, even third. But by the fourth pass, his hands were sweating, his throat was dry. He'd turned the AC down so low he could see his own breath, just to keep from nodding off, and still, his brain felt wrapped in cotton. That's when he saw the van, beat-up white Econoline, parked crooked on the shoulder. Hazard lights blinking slow, like it had been there a while and he knows he's seen it before. Same one, duct tape on the bumper, rear left tire flat, some kind of red handprint smeared on the back door. He passed it, and then 20 minutes later, passed it again, exact same van. Same blink pattern, same damn handprint. It was official, he wasn't driving north anymore, not really. He was in a loop. Back in the cab, the GPS was still frozen, just sitting there like a brain-dead co-pilot. The screen read, "Continue on I-81 north," but the ETA? Gone. Distance? Gone. All it showed now was that stupid little blue triangle. His truck spinning in place, spinning. Roy tapped it once, twice, swiped the screen, nothing. Just that slow, lazy rotation, like it was a compass trying to find north, but kept pointing inward. "All right," he muttered, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "We're done playing games." He reached for the CB mic again, keyed up. "Breaker 19, any ears on this freak show? Northbound 81. Something ain't right out here. Nothing. No squelch, no static. Just silence, dead air. The only thing..." That changed was the music. His phone had been playing low in the background, just some old southern rock playlist he liked for the long hauls. But the second time he passed that van, the song switched, not to the next track, but to a scratchy recording he didn't recognize, just faint violin music, like something from a gramophone, warbly, warped, old, the kind of sound that makes you feel like someone's behind you, even when you know you're alone. Then, under the music, whispers. Faint. Too faint to catch full words, but they had weight, a rhythm, a pulse, like someone sitting right in the sleeper behind the curtain, murmuring through their teeth. Roy paused the music. The whispers didn't stop. That's when he decided to stop fighting it. He figured maybe if he pulled over, killed. The engine, let the night catch up to him. Maybe it'd all snap back into place. Maybe he'd wake up at a pilot station with a hot coffee in hand and a dumb story about how sleep-deprived truckers shouldn't trust tech. So he eased onto the shoulder right past the 5th-mile marker 97, threw it in park, stepped out. The cold slapped him like a warning, not just night cold, unnatural cold, like standing in front of an open freezer, air too still, too heavy. The van was still up ahead, maybe 200 yards, same handprint. But now, the hazards were off. He reached into the cab, grabbed his flashlight, and against every instinct in his bones, started walking toward it. Each step felt like trudging through syrup. The air was that thick, and as he got closer, he noticed something scrawled into the dirt near the shoulder. A single word, drawn with a fingertip. Big, loopy, like someone took their time. "Run." He stopped. Flashlight shook in his hand. That's when he heard it. Footsteps behind him, slow, measured, crunching gravel just outside the reach of his light. He turned. Nothing. No one. But the sound kept moving, like the road itself was breathing. He turned back to the van, and now it was gone, vanished. No tire tracks, no blinking lights, just him, his truck, and the feeling that something, someone, was right behind him, staring at the back of his neck. He ran. Didn't care if he looked crazy. Bolted for the cab, climbed in, slammed the door, locked it, started the engine, spun the wheel hard, floored it. No more checking the mirrors, no more trying to outthink it. Just drive. And as the truck roared back onto I-81, the GPS flickered once, then again. And then it changed. New. Message, destination reached. But he hadn't touched a thing. The thing about running from something you don't understand, you never really know when to stop. Roy had the hammer down, pedal nearly through the floor. His 18-wheeler thundered down the blacktop like a missile with no destination. The GPS hadn't changed. It still said destination reached, taunting him like a sick joke. The blue triangle sat there, motionless, while his tires chewed up the road beneath him. He passed mile marker 97 again. He didn't look this time. He couldn't. But something in the corner of his eye flickered. A shape. A figure. Someone on the shoulder standing dead still. You ever seen something out of the corner of your eye that your brain refuses to fully register? That's what it was like his headlights caught a man on the side of the road, but no matter how hard he stared forward, the beams never fully lit him up. He was just there, barely outside the light, watching every time. Roy passed. That's when it hit him. He wasn't passing mile marker 97 anymore. He was stuck in a track, a record loop, but the world around him was changing. The figure got closer each time. First he was near the trees, next time behind the guardrail, then right on the edge of the shoulder, his boots nearly in the lane, every loop, one step closer. Roy's hands were white-knuckling the wheel now. Jaw clenched so hard his teeth ached, and still the road didn't let him go. He passed an old gas station. Sign broken, windows shattered. He remembered passing it when he started the trip, 4 hours back. But it wasn't boarded up then, it was open, lit. Now, it looked like it hadn't seen business in 20 years. Whatever was happening, this loop, this curse, this hell road, it wasn't just repeating time, it was rewinding it. He passed the man on the shoulder again. This time, Roy. Saw his face, pale as smoke, sunken eyes, like someone who hadn't blinked in a decade. His face was cracked like old porcelain, and his mouth was stuck in this jagged, unnatural grin. One bony hand raised slowly, slowly. He waved. Not friendly. Not a "hey, I'm in trouble" wave. No. It was a greeting, like he'd been waiting. For Roy to arrive. That's when Roy did the thing every trucker swears they'll never do on a dark stretch of highway. He stopped. Mid-lane, engine idling, hazards off, just sat there, breathing hard. His cab lights flickered, once. Then again, like something inside the truck was deciding whether to stay lit. Then across the windshield a shadow, not from outside, from inside the cab, right above the dash, like something had leaned forward from the sleeper and was just watching. He spun around, yanked the curtain back. Nothing. But when he turned back, the man on the shoulder was gone. Roy hit the gas. Again. He didn't care where the road led anymore. He just wanted to find someone, anyone, who could tell him this wasn't real, and that's when he saw it just ahead. On the right, a glow, a gas station. The same gas station. Except now. The lights were on, a single bulb flickering above the door, neon sign buzzing weakly. Open. Against every instinct he pulled in, killed the engine, got out. The night air hit him like wet ash. He stepped inside. The bell above the door didn't ring. The inside smelled like mothballs and kerosene. And behind the counter, a woman, late 60s, maybe. Short hair, smoking something that looked like it should have been outlawed in the 70s. She didn't look up, didn't blink, just muttered, "Pumps broke." "I don't need gas," Roy said. "I need hell, I don't even know. Something weird's happening on this stretch. I've been driving for hours, and I keep passing the same—" "You seen him yet?" she asked. Her voice was gravel. Roy froze. "Who?" he asked. She looked up. Her eyes were milky white. "The man on the shoulder." Roy didn't speak. Didn't have to. She nodded like she already knew the answer. "You ain't supposed to stop when you see him. That's how he gets you, if he makes eye contact. You're his." Roy swallowed. "Who the hell is he?" She tapped the ash off her cigarette. "He's called the Walker. Some folks say he's the ghost of a driver who never made it to his stop. Others say he's older, part of the road, like the highway needed a soul to collect souls and he volunteered." Roy stared at her. She just shrugged. "If you seen him this close," she added, "you ain't got much time." "Time for what?" Roy asked, barely above a whisper. To get off the road, her face went stiff, or become part of it. The thing about running from something you don't understand, you never really know when to stop. Roy had the hammer down, pedal nearly through the floor. His 18-wheeler thundered down the blacktop like a missile with no destination. The GPS hadn't changed. It still said destination reached, taunting him like a sick joke. The blue triangle sat there, motionless, while his tires chewed up the road beneath him. He passed mile marker 97 again. He didn't look this time. He couldn't. But something in the corner of his eye flickered. A shape. A figure. Someone on the shoulder standing dead still. You ever seen something out of the corner of your eye that your brain refuses to fully register? That's what it was like his headlights caught a man on the side of the road, but no matter how hard he stared forward, the beams never fully lit him up. He was just there, barely outside the light, watching every time. Roy passed. That's when it hit him. He wasn't passing mile marker 97 anymore. He was stuck in a track, a record loop, but the world around him was changing. The figure got closer each time. First he was near the trees, next time behind the guardrail, then right on the edge of the shoulder, his boots nearly in the lane. Every loop, one step closer. Roy's hands were white-knuckling the wheel now. Jaw clenched so hard his teeth ached, and still the road didn't let him go. He passed an old gas station. Sign broken, windows shattered. He remembered passing it when he started the trip, 4 hours back. But it wasn't boarded up then, it was open, lit. Now, it looked like it hadn't seen business in 20 years. Whatever was happening, this loop, this curse, this hell road, it wasn't just repeating time, it was rewinding it. He passed the man on the shoulder again. This time, Roy. Saw his face, pale as smoke, sunken eyes, like someone who hadn't blinked in a decade. His face was cracked like old porcelain, and his mouth was stuck in this jagged, unnatural grin. One bony hand raised slowly, slowly. He waved. Not friendly. Not a "hey, I'm in trouble" wave. No. It was a greeting, like he'd been waiting. For Roy to arrive. That's when Roy did the thing every trucker swears they'll never do on a dark stretch of highway. He stopped. Mid-lane, engine idling, hazards off, just sat there, breathing hard. His cab lights flickered, once. Then again, like something inside the truck was deciding whether to stay lit. Then across the windshield a shadow, not from outside, from inside the cab, right above the dash, like something had leaned forward from the sleeper and was just watching. He spun around, yanked the curtain back. Nothing. But when he turned back, the man on the shoulder was gone. Roy hit the gas. Again. He didn't care where the road led anymore. He just wanted to find someone, anyone, who could tell him this wasn't real, and that's when he saw it just ahead. On the right, a glow, a gas station. The same gas station. Except now. The lights were on, a single bulb flickering above the door, neon sign buzzing weakly. Open. Against every instinct he pulled in, killed the engine, got out. The night air hit him like wet ash. He stepped inside. The bell above the door didn't ring. The inside smelled like mothballs and kerosene. And behind the counter, a woman, late 60s, maybe. Short hair, smoking something that looked like it should have been outlawed in the 70s. She didn't look up, didn't blink, just muttered, "Pumps broke." "I don't need gas," Roy said. "I need hell, I don't even know. Something weird's happening on this stretch. I've been driving for hours, and I keep passing the same—" "You seen him yet?" she asked. Her voice was gravel. Roy froze. "Who?" he asked. She looked up. Her eyes were milky white. "The man on the shoulder." Roy didn't speak. Didn't have to. She nodded like she already knew the answer. "You ain't supposed to stop when you see him. That's how he gets you, if he makes eye contact. You're his." Roy swallowed. "Who the hell is he?" She tapped the ash off her cigarette. "He's called the Walker. Some folks say he's the ghost of a driver who never made it to his stop. Others say he's older, part of the road, like the highway needed a soul to collect souls and he volunteered." Roy stared at her. She just shrugged. "If you seen him this close," she added, "you ain't got much time." "Time for what?" Roy asked, barely above a whisper. To get off the road, her face went stiff, or become part of it. Roy's hands were gripped tight around the steering wheel, his knuckles white, as he sped down the highway with a desperation that made the truck's tires scream. His heart was pounding in his chest, each beat louder than the rumbling engine. Beneath him, sweat stung his eyes, but he didn't dare wipe it away. He was too focused, too terrified to lose his concentration. Every mile marker seemed the same. The endless stretch of road was a blur, and it felt like it was pulling him deeper, into some sort of twisted void. The headlights cast long shadows across the pavement, and Roy was beginning to feel the unsettling sensation that the road wasn't just repeating itself, it was closing in on him. He glanced in the rearview mirror. His reflection was there, but it felt like it wasn't him at all. The man in the mirror had hollow, desperate eyes, a face drawn and pale from the terror that had gnawed at him for hours. And there was something else. In the reflection, just barely visible, he saw movement, figures in the dark. He spun around, his heart seizing, but there was nothing there. The road ahead was still empty. The whispers began again. At first, Roy thought it was just the wind, or perhaps the engine's hum mixing with his exhausted brain. But no, it was the unmistakable sound of voices, murmurs rising from the depths of the truck's cabin, as though the road itself was speaking to him. The voices were growing louder now, closer. He turned up the volume on the radio to drown them out, but all that came through was a stream of static, white noise. And then, a single unmistakable word. Run. Roy's blood ran cold. He slammed his fist onto the dashboard, trying to get control of the chaos in his head. He couldn't stop. He couldn't slow down. And then he saw it again. The walker. This time it was no illusion. Standing at the edge of the road, illuminated by his headlights, was the pale figure. But it wasn't just standing there anymore. The walker was moving, its thin, skeletal body now advancing toward him with unnatural speed. Roy's foot slammed on the gas pedal as if he could outrun it. The truck roared forward, but the figure didn't fade. It didn't disappear into the darkness like a regular specter. No, it was getting closer, its feet dragging along the pavement, dragging something heavy behind it. The truck's speed didn't help. It didn't matter how fast he drove. The walker kept pace, matching him every mile, every second. Roy's mind spun in terror. He could feel the truck's tires begin to slip, as if the road itself was fighting him, twisting and pulling him in, forcing him back to the same place. God, no, he whispered, but his voice was drowned out by the roar of the engine. His eyes darted to the GPS screen. It was still glitching. The map didn't make sense. The road didn't make sense. He had passed mile marker 97 at least 4 times. There was no sign of the next exit, no signs of the end of the road, just the same endless stretch of asphalt vanishing into the dark. And then the headlights flickered. 4. A split second they went out, and in that brief instant of darkness Roy's world changed. The truck was no longer on the highway. He wasn't even on the same road. He was back at the gas station where he'd stopped earlier. The one with the woman and the cryptic warnings. The one that had set him on this hellish course. But now it was empty. No sign of the attendant. No lights on the building. The pumps were dry, and the air smelled stale. There were no cars, no other truckers, no one in sight. Just Roy, just the road. It didn't make sense. Roy slammed the brakes, the truck skidding to a stop. His heart pounded in his chest, and his breath came in short, ragged bursts. His entire body was shaking, but he forced himself to look around. Everything was the same, yet completely different. He looked back at the road. It was stretching out in front of him, but it didn't look like any stretch of highway he had ever seen before. The asphalt looked weathered, cracked, and ancient, and the lights on his truck were dimming, flickering again. The walker was there, standing in the same spot, just ahead of him, the light catching his gaunt, ghostly form. And now, something shifted. Something moved within the figure. The walker stepped forward closer. His skeletal fingers twitched, the ghastly white glow of his skin reflecting the headlights in an eerie, almost hypnotic rhythm. "You're mine." The words weren't spoken aloud, but they reverberated in Roy's skull. It was as if the road itself was whispering them to him, pulling him under its spell. The air was thick with the weight of the curse. Roy's hand was frozen on the gear shift, but somehow he willed his foot to press harder on the gas. The truck lurched forward with a screech, as if the engine itself was protesting. The road seemed to stretch endlessly ahead of him. And then something else appeared, a figure on the horizon, far off in the distance. The same spectral figure that had haunted his dreams since the moment he entered this cursed stretch of highway. But this time, the figure was not alone. There were others, dozens of them, scattered across the road, standing silently, watching. Him. The walker was leading them. They were all trapped on this highway, in this loop, with no escape. Roy's stomach twisted in terror. He was part of something now, and there was no turning back. The truck rumbled forward, as Roy's hands tightened on the steering wheel, the sweat pooling in his palms. His pulse thrummed in his ears, drowning out the rest of the world as the walker and the other spectral figures slowly advanced toward him. The headlights cast long, ominous shadows across the cracked asphalt, highlighting the twisted faces of the figures who lined the road, pale and gaunt, eyes hollow, expressions locked in eternal agony. They weren't just spirits anymore. They were trapped souls, and Roy was the next one on their list. With every passing moment, the road seemed to twist more, like a serpent tightening its grip around him. The truck moved on autopilot, its engine whining in protest, but Roy couldn't stop. His foot was frozen on the gas pedal, and the wheel barely responded to his shaking hands. The walker was closer now, its silhouette etched against the darkened sky, its ghostly form drifting silently toward the truck. As it came into view, Roy could see the empty, hollow sockets of its eyes, glowing faintly like pale orbs of light. The figure's skeletal hand reached out, claw-like fingers stretched toward him, beckoning him forward. A chill ran down Roy's spine. Every instinct told him to turn away, to flee, but the curse wouldn't let him. The walker wasn't just trying to kill him. No, this was far worse. This was about taking him, taking his soul. Roy wasn't just going to die. He was going to join them, trapped on this endless stretch of highway, lost in this infinite loop just like the others. The figures lining the road began to whisper. At first, it was a low murmur, a soft, unintelligible hum that rose and fell like the wind. But then the voices became clearer, more distinct, as if they were speaking directly into Roy's mind. Their words rattled his thoughts, gnawed at his sanity. Join us. Forever. There's no way out. This road is the end. The road you can never leave. Once you stop, you'll never wake up again. Roy's chest tightened. His breath quickened as his eyes darted between the road ahead, the walker, and the empty faces watching him from the sides. This was it. He had reached the point of no return. If he didn't find a way to escape now, he would become just another lost soul, wandering these cursed roads for eternity. But deep down, Roy knew there was one more chance, one last choice. The road split up ahead. He saw the fork in the road just as the walker was nearly upon him, its skeletal fingers inches from the truck's cab. Roy had no time to think, no time to question the decision. The curse had placed him here, but maybe there was a way to break it. Maybe the fork in the road was his only chance. His gaze darted to the GPS on the truck's dashboard. The map was a mess of erratic lines and loops, but there, off to the left, was a road that hadn't been there before. It didn't match anything in his memory, but it was there, faintly glowing on the screen as though beckoning him toward it. Left turn. It's your only chance, the voice of the cashier echoed in his mind, the words she'd spoken earlier, coming back to him in a haunting reminder. The walker was closing in. It was now or never. Roy yanked the steering wheel hard to the left, tires screeching in protest. The truck careened toward the unseen path, the road splitting into two diverging routes, one leading back into the chaos of the highway and the other into the unknown. For a brief moment, everything seemed to stop. The world around him held its breath. The truck skidded to a halt, the headlights casting long shadows on the unfamiliar road ahead. The walker stopped in its tracks. It wasn't moving anymore. The figures lining the road grew still, as if frozen by some invisible force. Roy's heart pounded, his eyes wide with panic, yet there was a strange sense of peace in the air now, as if the weight of the curse had lifted, if only for a moment. But the silence didn't last long. With a slow, deliberate motion, the walker turned its head to face Roy one last time. Its mouth opened, revealing a cavernous abyss within its skull. It whispered something, a name perhaps, or a curse, but Roy couldn't hear it. Before he could react, the walker faded into the shadows, its form melting into the darkness. The figures on the road vanished with it, leaving Roy alone in the dead silence. The truck's engine sputtered, and the GPS blinked out for a moment, but then it came back to life. The road was clear. The map was no longer glitching. He could see the familiar markers ahead, leading toward a destination. Roy couldn't believe it. He'd done it. He had broken the loop. For a brief moment he felt the weight of the curse lift off his shoulders. He was free. The walker, the highway, the endless loop, they were all behind him now. But as he glanced in the rearview mirror, a chill ran down his spine. The road was empty, but in the distance he saw something flickering just for a moment, a shape on the horizon. Was it real? Or was it just his mind playing tricks on him? Roy couldn't shake the feeling that the walker wasn't truly gone, and that the highway, in all its cursed glory, would always be there, waiting for the next trucker who took the wrong turn. But for now, at least, he was free. For now. It starts like any other night. I'm in the cab, hands steady on the wheel, just the low hum of the engine and the endless stretch of road in front of me. But something's off. You know that feeling when you wake up in the middle of the night, and you don't know what time it is or where you are, or if you're still dreaming. That's how it feels. I checked the clock. It said 3:15 a.m., but I could have sworn I've been driving for longer. I mean, a lot longer. I know I haven't been asleep, I haven't stopped for fuel, haven't pulled off to rest, yet the road's been moving beneath me for hours, and I haven't even noticed how the miles seem to blur into each other. That feeling's starting to creep in, like something's wrong with the world around me and I'm just floating through it. I'm a long-haul driver, been doing this for years. You get used to the solitude, the sound of tires on asphalt, the occasional hum of a radio that nobody's listening to. But tonight, it's different. There's something unsettling about this stretch of road, this silence that feels more suffocating than peaceful. I glance at the mirrors. The trailer's still there, hitched up, but I can't remember picking it up. Weird, right? I should have remembered. It's not like I'm a rookie, but here I am, cruising at 75 mph with this heavy load behind me. The trailer's white, a little weathered, but the thing is, I don't know what's inside it. No markings, no logos, not a single distinguishing feature except a dull, scuffed-up metal exterior. It's like the kind of trailer you'd see on any given stretch of highway, except it feels wrong. Something's off about it. My stomach tightens and I shake my head. Maybe I've been driving too long. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I just need to pull off, get some sleep. But when I look ahead, the road just keeps going. I tell myself I'll find a rest stop soon, somewhere to park and stretch my legs, but the road just doesn't end. It's an endless stretch of black asphalt, lit only by the yellow glow of my headlights. The landscape is flat. Nothing for miles. No buildings, no lights, no signs, just the road, and that feeling keeps creeping in. It's like I'm caught in a loop, one that's getting tighter with each passing mile. I blink and rub my eyes. That's when I realize something. My fuel gauge hasn't moved. I've been driving for how long now? Days? Hours? And I haven't even refueled. Shouldn't the truck be empty by now? I mean, sure, the fuel tank is big, but that doesn't make sense. No matter how many miles I've covered, the needle's just sitting there full. I check the mirrors again. I don't remember passing any gas stations. No signs for miles. And worst of all, I can't remember the last time I actually stopped anywhere. There's no way this is normal. I stare out the windshield, trying to gather my thoughts, but the road is a blur, stretching out endlessly in front of me. It's like the asphalt has no beginning, no end, just one continuous stretch of darkness. The truck's headlights illuminate the road, but the edges of the highway disappear into the void, leaving no sign of a horizon. The air outside is thick with the kind of stillness that makes the hairs on the back of your neck prickle. There's no wind, no rustling trees, no birds, no sounds of anything living. Just the deafening hum of the engine and the eerie silence pressing in around me. I wipe the sweat from my brow, my hands are shaky. Something isn't right. I shouldn't feel like this. I've been driving for hours or maybe days. Honestly, I can't tell anymore, and it feels like I'm trapped in a never-ending loop, like the highway is swallowing me whole. I check the clock again. 4:45 a.m. I swear I've seen the same time for the past hour. I glance at the fuel gauge, still full. It's almost like the truck's refueling itself, but that's impossible, right? I force a laugh, trying to shake off the tension. I rub my eyes, thinking maybe the exhaustion is getting to me. But when I blink, the world outside doesn't seem to shift. It's the same empty highway, the same stretch of black road, no exits, no signs, no towns. I should have passed something by now. A gas station, a diner, a small town. Something, but nothing. Just the road and the endless darkness. I pull down the visor and reach for the map I keep in the glove compartment. It's an old thing, creases and faded ink all over it, but it's always been reliable. I spread it across the steering wheel and try to make sense of the route I'm supposed to be on. There should be an exit in a few miles. But the roads aren't matching up with what I'm seeing. There's nothing here that lines up with the map. The map, it's wrong. I let the paper drop onto the passenger seat in frustration. My mind's racing now. Why can't I remember where I am? The quiet, empty road, the oppressive silence. It's starting to feel like something's pushing in on me, pressing me into the truck seat. I turn the radio dial, hoping for some kind of distraction, something familiar, but all I get is static. Broken signals, not even the soft hum of a station. Just white noise. A chill runs down my spine. The loneliness of the road is starting to feel suffocating, like the air inside the cab has thickened, become heavier. Where am I? I glance at the side mirror again. It's like I'm the only person left in the world. Shouldn't I see another vehicle by now? I speed up, hoping to see a sign, an exit, a town. But the road stretches on, relentlessly. No lights. In the distance, no other trucks. I feel a pang of dread, a tightening in my chest. The weight of the trailer behind me, the load I'm carrying, something feels off. It's almost as if the truck itself is growing heavier, dragging me into the night. I think back to the sign I saw earlier. Welcome to Jarrett. You're already here. But there's no Jarrett on the map. I can't remember passing anything. That would tell me I was even close to a town. I reach for the CB radio, my fingers stiff, and flick the switch. I try calling out, trying to make contact with someone, anyone. Breaker 19, anyone out there? Come on back, I wait. The only response is the static. Breaker 19, this is truck 174. Anybody out there, please come back. Silence. I rub my face, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling crawling up my spine. Come on, I mutter under my breath. I click the button again. This is truck 174. Come on, I need a response. Anybody out there? More static. Then a faint crackle, a voice. Low, distant, like it's coming from a faraway place. Don't stop. Don't look. Just keep going. The hair on the E. Back of my neck stands up. My stomach flips. I lean closer to the speaker, listening hard. The voice is barely a whisper, cutting through the static, but it's unmistakable. Don't stop, don't look, just keep going. A chill runs through me. I pull my hand away from the radio, the warmth of the cab now feeling distant. My heart pounds in my chest. Who was that? I try to dismiss the feeling rising inside me. I'm not losing it. The radio's just picking up some weird interference. That's all. But why did it feel so real? I grip the steering wheel harder, trying to focus on the road ahead. The highway stretches out, and as I watch the line of my headlights illuminating the pavement, I see something. A flicker of light in the distance, just a speck, far off. A light. A vehicle. I speed up again, my foot pressing harder on the accelerator. The truck responds sluggishly, but I push it, urging it to go faster. The light grows closer and closer, and the relief in my chest grows with it. A truck, a car, maybe a fellow driver. But the closer I get, the more my stomach twists. The light isn't coming from headlights. It's coming from something else. It's a faint blue glow. It pulses in the distance like a dying star in the blackness. My heart starts to race. What the hell is that? I don't want to look, but I can't help it. My foot still pressing down on the gas, but now the truck's moving faster than I expected. It feels like the road's pulling me towards that light. The distance closes. I'm nearing whatever it is, and then I see it. Just as I'm about to pass it, the glow from the thing in the distance shifts. It's no longer just a light. It's a truck, a semi-truck, parked off to the side of the road. But the headlights are shattered, cracked like glass. The truck's been abandoned. It's been there for ages, rusted and decayed. The windows are missing, leaving dark voids inside. I slam my foot on the brakes, but the truck keeps going, like I have no control. I try again, harder this time. The brakes scream in protest, but the truck doesn't stop. I look into the rearview mirror, and the truck that was once behind me is gone. It's not there anymore. A shiver crawls up my spine. I press the brake. Again, harder this time. Finally, the truck screeches to a halt, but I don't feel any relief. My hands are shaking. I open the door of the cab, gasping for air. The world outside is silent. Too silent. I turn back to look at the trailer, and for a split second, I think I see something moving behind the metal doors. A shadow. I freeze. Something's in there. Something that doesn't belong. The truck is still motionless, parked in the middle of nowhere. The eerie stillness of the scene suffocates me. I try to keep my breathing steady, but the tightness in my chest makes it almost impossible. The dim glow of the dashboard is the only thing providing any kind of light. The truck, with its shattered windows and decaying frame, looms like a ghost just waiting to suck me in. How did I not notice this earlier? I was so focused on driving, on the road in front of me, but this truck had to have been here for a long time. There's a thick layer of dust on the ground around it, and the tires have all but collapsed, sagging under the weight of time and neglect. I glance over my shoulder at the trailer. The back doors are still shut tight, but something shifts within. Me? Is it me, or did they just move? I swallow hard, forcing my feet to move. I open the door and step outside, feeling the gravel crunch under my boots. The chill of the desert night bites at my skin, but it's nothing compared to the cold creeping down my spine. The air smells stale, like it's been trapped in this endless stretch of road for years, if not centuries. There's no wind, no sound except for the faint hum of the truck's engine and the rhythmic beat of my own pulse in my ears. Every step feels heavier than the last, as though the earth itself is trying to hold me in place, preventing me from moving forward. I move slowly toward the truck, unsure of what I'm about to find. The blue glow from its headlights, what's left of them, casts strange shadows over the cracked, peeling paint. The side mirrors are cracked too, the glass jagged like the teeth of some ancient beast. I reach out to touch the side of the truck, my fingers brushing against the metal. It's unnaturally cold. I pull my hand back, instinctively rubbing it against my pants. It feels wrong, like the temperature of the truck has never changed in years. I hear a sound behind me. I spin around, expecting to see someone, but there's nothing. Just the stretch of the road, the black void that seems to swallow everything around it. I look back at the truck and hesitate. Why am I standing here? I shouldn't be out here. It's not safe. But my feet are moving again, stepping closer to the side of the truck, drawn to it by some unseen force. I know I shouldn't open the door. Something in my gut is telling me this isn't just some abandoned vehicle, but I can't stop myself. It's like I'm being pulled in, like I'm stuck in a dream I can't wake up from. I reach for the door handle, and the cold metal bites into my skin. Click. The door swings open. For a second, I freeze. My heart thuds against my ribs, and I swear I hear a faint, raspy breath coming from inside, a soft exhale, but it can't be. I take a step back, my eyes darting to the cab. Inside is nothing, just an empty, decaying seat, torn leather, old stains that have long since dried. Dust and cobwebs cling to the remnants of what once was a trucker's sanctuary on the road. I step closer again, cautiously. A faded receipt from a gas station is crumpled in the corner, but there's nothing on it. Just a few smeared digits. But then something else catches my eye. a small object wedged beneath the seat. I crouch down and pull it out. It's a photo, tattered, yellowed with age. The edges are curled, almost like it's been left out in the sun for far too long. It's a picture of a family, smiling, a man, a woman and a child standing by what looks like the same truck I'm standing beside. But something's wrong. The child in the photo is wrong. Her eyes are too wide, too hollow. It's as though she's staring right through the camera, through me. And there's something about the way her mouth is twisted, as if she's not smiling at all, but grimacing. A grimace so unnatural it sends a jolt of fear straight through. I drop the photo as if it's on fire, stumbling back. My breath comes faster now, a mixture of dread and confusion swirling inside me. What the hell is happening? I shake my head, trying to clear the fog in my mind. I need to keep moving. I need to get back in the truck and drive away, but something stops me. A voice. Not a real voice, but a thought. No, a feeling in my mind. It tells me to look at the road, to look ahead. I straighten up and turn, my eyes scanning the road. But it's not the road I was driving on. It's not the same highway anymore. The road is different. The asphalt that once stretched in front of me like a straight line now bends. It twists, curling around like a serpent, impossible to follow. I can't make sense of it. How can this be? I didn't turn, I didn't veer off the highway, but it's clear now, the road isn't the same. It's like I've been transported somewhere else entirely, somewhere I don't belong. The sky above is dark, but there are no stars. It's as if the universe has turned its back on me, leaving me in an endless night. My hands tremble. My heart is racing in my chest, but I have to keep moving. I need to keep going. I turn back to the truck, and for a brief moment I think I see something. A shadow moving inside the cab, but when I look again, it's gone. I don't waste another second. I scramble into the driver's seat, slamming the door shut behind me. My fingers fumble with the ignition, but the engine roars to life as soon as I turn the key. The truck moves again, but it feels wrong. It feels heavier, like it's dragging me back to some place I don't want to go. I press the accelerator, and the truck speeds up, but it doesn't seem to be gaining any ground. The road stretches on, and I realize I'm not getting anywhere. I glance at the rearview mirror. Nothing behind me, just blackness. And then, the sign. I swear I wasn't there before, but now it's just up ahead. The faded letters read, Mile. Marker 77, next exit. Never. The words seem to burn themselves into my brain, the meaning too terrifying to comprehend. I try to shake it off, but I know it's not a coincidence. Something's very wrong here. I can feel it in my bones. This road, this truck, this journey, it's all part of something I can't escape. I'm speeding down the road again, but it's not the same road. It's like I'm stuck in a loop, driving on a path that bends in on itself, always circling back, no matter how far I go. The truck is alive with the sound of the engine roaring under my feet, but the air inside the cab is suffocating. The thick smell of something stale, like it's been locked in here for days, presses against my lungs. I glance at the dashboard again, but the time still won't change. The same time from hours ago, or maybe days, or maybe it's just been here the entire time. 4:45 a.m. I keep telling myself it doesn't mean anything, that it's just a malfunction in the system, that I just need to focus on driving and get out of here. But the more I try to ignore it, the more the feeling of something being terribly wrong claws at the back of my mind. I slam my foot down harder on the accelerator, desperate to gain some control, but the road ahead doesn't change. The lights illuminate the same stretch of asphalt, endless, barren, stretching on forever. And then, out of nowhere, a voice crackles. Through the radio. I jerk my hand away from the steering wheel, the shock of the sudden sound sending my heart into overdrive. The voice is distorted, faint, broken by static, but I can hear it. It's a man's voice. Help. Please, and what? Stop. Before. It's too late. The words are barely audible, as if the voice is coming from the bottom of a well, distant and desperate. But there's something about it that grips me. It's familiar. I can't place it, but I know it. It's like I've heard this voice before. My pulse spikes. My fingers hover over the radio dial, but I can't bring myself to turn it off. There's a strange compulsion, a need to listen, to understand. The voice continues, and now there's an edge to it, something frantic, terrified. Don't trust it. The static cuts out again, leaving me alone with the hum of the truck and the relentless sound of the road beneath me. But even though the radio is silent now, I feel the words still hanging in the air, echoing in my mind. Don't trust it. The phrase repeats over and over like a mantra. What does it mean? I look at the rearview mirror, and for the briefest moment, I swear I see something. A shape, flickering in and out of focus. The mirror shakes, distorting the view. Behind me, but when I blink and focus, there's nothing there. Just the same dark road stretching endlessly behind me. A chill runs down my spine. Am I losing my mind? I turn my attention back to the road ahead, but there's something different. The asphalt isn't just stretching out in front of me anymore. It's twisting. The lines on the road, the dotted white markings, are starting to bend, curving in unnatural ways, almost as if they're alive. My hands grip the wheel tighter and I push the truck to go faster, hoping the road will straighten out. But it doesn't. The world around me seems to warp and shift with each mile. The edges of the horizon blur, and the stars in the sky are dimming, fading in and out as if someone is flicking a light switch on and off. Where am I going? I feel my throat tighten, and I swallow, trying to clear the growing lump of panic that's lodged in my chest. I can't stop. I have to keep driving. Something inside me tells me that stopping will be worse than whatever's happening now. But every mile, every passing second, feels like it's dragging me deeper into a nightmare that's only just begun. Suddenly, I see something in the distance, a faint light, a flicker. I slam on the brakes, but the truck doesn't slow down. The engine protests, the tires screeching against the road, but the light up ahead doesn't seem to get any closer. I glance at the clock again. It's still stuck on 4:45 a.m. I stare at the light, the only thing in this desolate world that seems to be tangible. It glows faintly like the last embers of a dying fire, but it's not like any light I've ever seen. It doesn't have the warmth of a street lamp or the brightness of a headlight. It's cold, alien. I push the pedal down harder. The truck lurches forward, the engine growling beneath me. The light intensifies, pulling me toward it like some kind of gravitational force. I can't look away. I have to get there. As I close the distance, I finally begin to make out details. It's not a car, not another truck, it's something worse. A sign? A rusted, decaying sign standing alone in the middle of the road, half buried in the dust and sand. The glow comes from the cracked surface of the sign, as though the metal itself is radiating an eerie, unnatural light. My heart skips. Thabit. I pull up beside it, unable to stop myself. The words are barely legible. Faded. Scrawled across the surface in a jagged, almost desperate hand. Turn back. I swallow hard, the words sinking into my gut like lead. But there's something else there. A new message, faint but growing stronger. A warning. I lean in closer, my breath fogging up the cracked surface of the sign. It's already too late. This realization hits me like a freight train. This isn't just some random road. This isn't just a random detour. I've been driving in circles. I've been driving straight into a trap. The miles are a loop. The road a maze designed to trap. Me here to keep me from escaping. I pull away from the sign, my eyes wide. But as I glance up, I see something else. The road ahead is no longer just black asphalt. It's cracked, broken, like it's been torn apart by something far more powerful than any human hand. It's almost as if the world around me is unraveling. I'm not just lost. I'm trapped. Slam the truck into gear, my foot heavy on the accelerator. But the road continues to distort, each turn more unnatural than the last. And somewhere in the distance, the faint sound of the radio crackles to life again. It's the same voice, the voice from before. Don't stop, don't look, just keep going. I grip the wheel harder, my knuckles white. The words are haunting. Now a reminder that I've crossed a line, that I've ventured into a place where the rules of reality no longer apply. And just as I'm about to look ahead, I see it. A figure standing in the middle of the road. The figure stands in the middle of the road, a dark silhouette against the dim light of the broken street signs. My foot instinctively presses down harder on the brake, and the truck lurches forward, slowing down in an attempt to avoid hitting whatever it is. But the closer I get, the more I realize it's not a person. At first glance, it had the shape of a human, a man, I thought, with a hood or something pulled over his head. But as I draw nearer, the details blur and twist in the headlights. It's not real. I slam my hand onto the horn, hoping it will scare this figure out of the way, but it doesn't move. The truck's horn echoes into the empty road, bouncing off the cracked asphalt and seemingly disappearing into the dark void. Behind me, my heart pounds in my chest, a frantic rhythm that matches the sound of the engine. I reach for the wheel, my hands shaking as I grip it tighter. The figure remains still, unblinking, its silhouette too precise, too unmoving. It feels wrong. Something is off. I try to swerve, my hands jerking the wheel, but the truck resists, almost like the road itself is guiding me back, keeping me on this course. The tires screech, the truck groaning as it scrapes against the distorted asphalt. I try again, but it's no use. The figure won't budge. Then, as if in slow motion, I notice something else. The road ends. No sign of an exit, no curve or intersection. Just an abrupt wall of dark, looming fog, a thick, inky mist that swallows everything. It's as if the world simply drops off right in front of me, and all I can see is a white blur of vapor, blocking my vision of whatever lies beyond. I press the brake harder, bringing the truck to a complete stop inches from the figure. My breath is coming in shallow bursts now, my hands cold and clammy against the steering wheel. The fog is suffocating, creeping into every crevice, filling the cabin with a chill that makes the air feel thick and heavy. I can't see anything clearly anymore. The figure, still standing there, finally shifts. It tilts its head slightly, an unnatural, jerky motion. My stomach flips. No human could move like that. It's too stiff, too mechanical. The head twists further until it almost looks like it's upside down. My vision blurs in the mist, the light from the truck's headlights reflecting off the fog in a surreal, dreamlike haze. I don't want to look. I can't look. But something forces me to. I have to know what it is. I reach for the door handle. Click. The sound is sharp in the quiet of the cab. I open the door, hesitating for a moment, but I know if I don't get out now, I'll be stuck in here forever. I step into the mist, each movement slower than the last, as if the air itself is thickening, resisting me. The world outside the truck has gone silent. No wind, no sound, just the oppressive presence of the fog, closing in from all sides. Why am I doing this? I step forward, barely able to see my own feet in front of me. The air tastes metallic, like old pennies, and the smell is unbearable. It's the same smell I had when I first started, the smell of death, of rot. The figure is closer now, standing just a few feet away, its body still unnaturally stiff. I can barely make out details, but its outline is jagged, disjointed, like no shadow with too many edges, too many sharp angles. It's wrong. Then I hear it, the voice, her voice. You should have stopped. The words echo in the stillness, vibrating in the fog. I freeze, my body frozen, caught in the grip of something far more powerful than fear. I swallow, my throat dry, and I look into the face of the figure. The head tilts again, like a doll's, but now I can see her face. And she's smiling. It's not a friendly smile. Her skin is pale, stretched tight over hollow cheeks. The lips are too wide, the smile far too wide. There are no eyes, just two dark pits, empty and cold. Her teeth gleam in the dim light, too sharp, too perfect. It's the kind of grin that could only exist in a nightmare. I stagger backward, gasping, for breath, but my feet won't cooperate. The fog has thickened around me. I can't see the truck anymore. I can't see anything except for the figure, which is now closer than it was a moment ago. You should have stopped, trucker. Her voice is louder now, more insistent. It's like 100 whispers all coming from the same mouth, echoing and stretching into the fog, growing louder and louder. And then it hits me, the full, horrifying realization. I never should have come here. This place, it's not just a detour. It's not just some stretch of highway lost in time. It's a trap. I turn and run, my legs like jelly beneath me, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. I know I shouldn't look back, but I can't help it. I have to. And when I do, I see her again, standing right in the middle of the road, her smile twisting, stretching impossibly wide. My feet stumble over the uneven ground and I crash to the ground, scraping my palms against the rocks and gravel. I scramble to my feet, panic consuming me, but the fog seems to push back against me. It's closing in, pressing on my chest, making it harder to breathe. The road is gone. The truck is gone. There's nothing left but the cold, suffocating fog. I take a deep breath and suddenly I hear the faint sound of something. A vehicle. No, it can't be, but it's getting closer. It's the truck. My truck. I turn around in disbelief, my heart skipping a beat as I see the headlights cutting through the mist. The sound of the engine is unmistakable. The truck's coming, back driving toward me at full speed, but then I hear her again. "It's not your truck." Her voice is mocking, cold. I spin around, desperate to escape, but the fog is so thick now, I can barely make out my own hands in front of my face. The truck's headlights are now blinding, flashing over the thick haze. And it's heading straight for me. I can't escape. I don't know how much time passes. It could be minutes or hours, but the road keeps moving beneath me, relentless, winding and curving, pulling me deeper into a place I don't understand. The truck is no longer my vehicle. It's something else entirely, something far older, far more sinister. And I am nothing but a passenger now. I look ahead and the fog clears just a little. The road stretches ahead of me, endless. I'm still driving, but I don't know where I'm going. I can't remember the way out.